I went live before I could put up my beautiful little picture thing. Anyways, this is Del K. Birch, and this is The Real Spiel. Shout out to the Cyclopses in the building. I was truly a Cyclops because I was a one-eyed bandit for a while. My left eye was not fit for TV, ladies and gentlemen. I could not see properly. I had my eye squinted out. Too many contact lenses don't really fit well in this eye, right? So I'm a one-eyed bandit right now, but holler at my mentor, Dr. Israel, and the saints in Nimona. Our prayers are with you. We're trapped in a neo-tribalistic world, ladies and gentlemen. Trapped in neo-tribalism. Trapped in neo-tribalism. I really wanted to put my picture up. I had this great picture that I put up there. I'll get it up. I'll get it in there later. Doggone it. Anyway. I want to have a conversation with you about that. How we are effectively trapped in neo-tribalism. Throwback Sean Kemp. Come on now. The old NBA. I know a lot of you like this shirt, so I wore it for the sake of the NBA just started too. You know this was an NBA channel for the at the beginning, and y'all start to stress me out with other stuff, so I had to talk about more. But let's talk about that. Those Republicans down in the United States of America have lost their doggone mind. CNN just put together a montage of all of the crazy things these people have said. Don't get me started with Pastor Swaggart, and don't get me started also with the alleged Black Church of America. Got to put some people on standby here because they're going to blow me up. Okay. Let me start from a particular angle here today. The Black church has been broken for a long time in America. Broken for a long time. And the second you had to call it the Black church, immediately it's broken. But its brokenness has come about because it is trying to become more secular than it is trying to be the church. The issue is not whether or not there is problems with the Black church. T.D. Jakes, Eddie Long, that boy who's sitting in Eddie Long's church, what's his name? His name will come to me. Pastor or Bishop Bryant, Jamal Bryant. Oh, Lord have mercy. The issue isn't that we don't see the problems. That's not the issue. Carlton Pearson, we've seen the problems. We absolutely see the problems. But the audacity of Donnie Swagger. Ooh, let me put it. Listen, the second that you are stuck in tribalism, you become more ritualistic about the advancement of your tribe than you can actually be objective. I like how I said that. I'm gonna say it again. You become more ritualistic about the advancement of your tribe than you can actually be objective over what is right and over what is wrong. I sat and I listened to some pastors trying to come for Donnie, and they sounded, black pastors, they sounded so ridiculous. They sounded ridiculous because he that is without sin cast the first stone. Of course there is problems in the Black church. Of course, because people are in the church. But well, I'm gonna get to Donnie in a minute. but let's start with us, because it's always family business in here. When you get up there as a pastor, let me be more specific. When you get up there as a Christian, as a Bible-believing Christian, and you become an apologist for the LGBTQ community that resides in the Christian church today, and you become a spokesperson defending the gayness of the Western church, you've become a problem. You're become a problem. And I heard these brothers now not only talk on that, but this is the second one. Now, some of them didn't go that far. Some of them went this far, though. When we don't want to be telling women what to do with their body. When did the Church of Jesus Christ become pro-abortion? When did this happen? When did this happen? We know the tribalism of the Democratic Party has adopted the liberal ideologies, allowing for the murdering of babies on a preponderance never seen before. The greatest genocide in the world is the killing of babies in America. The greatest genocide in the world is the killing of unborn babies in America. Let me do a Umar Johnson one more time. The greatest genocide in the world, check the statistics, ladies and gentlemen, is the murdering of unborn babies in America. That is the greatest genocide currently in the world. Second to that is Congo. But the greatest genocide in the world is the murdering of unborn babies in America. And when the church, representatives of it, and people who say they represent it, I'm gonna say it better, are becoming apologists for a pro-abortion perspective, you're not the church anymore. You're a tribalistic man adopting the dogmas of the Democratic Party, mixing it, syncretizing it. We just did this in our class, syncretizing it with pseudo-Christian ideals. Can't do that. And I'm sorry. There has to be a place where the priest stands on the things of the priesthood and says, unfortunately, as much as I identify with you in this way or that way, on these statutes, I cannot budge. Right. So those are the two things that took me for a loop when it came to the black church trying to kick Swaggart in his head, which he deserves. But I'm gonna get to him in a minute. But we can't do that. As much as, again, we are not, and I speak a very general we. It's not all encompassing. We cannot endorse the Donald Trumpism of America and all of his participating racist blockheads. And if you've never seen it, if you've never believed it before, oh my gosh, you have to believe it now. We can't put, let me say it better. You can't put a man like that on the seat of one of the most powerful seats in the world. You can't. And if you can, put a black woman there, black people all over the world and in America are saying, we're absolutely going to do that. Even though there are some agendas that we don't like, speaking from Christian perspectives. But they have to say, hey, we do not endorse this part of the Democratic Party. However, we cannot endorse any part of this man. Can't endorse any part of this man. Just warming up. Just getting going. How are you guys? Thank you. I knew you guys left the Sean Camp. Yeah, I can't stand the gay agenda. It is an example of syncretism. Thank you very much. Now, let's move on. Let's warm this thing up, okay? We have an unfortunate dilemma in America. The unfortunate dilemma is that we have to choose between conscience and decency. You have to choose between conscience and decency. I don't know where I'm coming up with these gems today, but they're fantastic. My speech writers, I've got to give them a raise. The consciousness of the black community and of the church and of the conservative community is being held at gunpoint, where you have on one side the right, a gentleman and a set of individuals who have adopted one mindset, and this is it. This is what I wanted to say. I wanted to put this up there, but I didn't want to get pulled down. But I just wanted to say, they have adopted this mindset. Listen to me, and listen to me clearly. They have said this. They have thrown down the gauntlet. They have said this. Listen, there's enough white people in America that we only need the white vote. We don't need anybody else's. That's what they're saying. We don't want the Latino vote. We don't want the black vote. We don't need it. We have enough white people in America that we only need our vote. And we don't care about the Haitians. We don't care about the Puerto Ricans. We don't care about the black vote. We don't care about that vote. Because we are just going to stand on the fact that this is our country. We built it. It is our tribe that dominates this, and no matter what, it belongs to us. No other time in history has that sentiment been so popular in the mouths of the popular speakers than today. You know why? Because even Farrakhan said that just the other day. Farrakhan got up on his podium and said, this is a white man's world. I don't know if you saw that speech. Ooh, Lord have mercy. Farrakhan said, whose money are you spending? Whose face is on the money? Who has authorized your degree? Whose school did you go to? Who you working for? Who you paying those taxes to? And Farrakhan went to town. He said, this is his world. He didn't just say this is, now I'm not going to say it's his world because that's just incorrect. But I will say what Farrakhan should have said. That's his country. The United States of America belongs to him. I can't say it's a white man's world. It's not. It would be just myopic of us to say that, considering that there's way more Africans in the world than there are white people, period. There's way more Indians. You put the Indians and the Africans together, like, we definitely outnumber y'all. But the point that Farrakhan was making was that there is a dominant tribe that controls America. And the Trumpisms of today have said, you know what, we are the dominant tribe and we do control America, and we can say what the heck we want because it's our country, period. And so many of you have said, oh my goodness, the audacity, and you've gone off on that. This is why Donnie Swagger can get up there and point his bony little finger, the audacity of him, at the so-called black church. I call so-called because I don't like the term, the black church. I don't like it. I really don't like it. I really don't like the term. I understand why in America it's so specific. I do. Can I take you on a quick history lesson? I understand that there was a time that the Pentecostal movement was not racially specific. The Assemblies of God came out of the Azusa Street movement. So did the Assemblies of God is the white Pentecostal or the white evangelical or whatever they want to call themselves today. And then you had the Church of God of Christ. You have the Church of God of prophecy. You have the Church of God of New Testament. You have the Pentecostal Assemblies of the world. You had the United Pentecostals and UPC. You had all of these now fragments of a movement that were together. And they broke into bits and they separated themselves amongst all these things. And even Mr. Swagger, I ain't gonna call him pastor. He had to get away from the Assemblies of God too because of his daddy's issues. And, you know, they're good Christians. They don't forgive sin. The Assemblies of God. You guys are some fantastic Christians, boy. They don't forgive sin at all in the Assemblies of God. No. Swaggart slept with one prostitute too many. For them, he was unforgivable. Isn't it crazy? Isn't it crazy? Swaggart was unforgivable for what? A couple of prostitutes. Unforgivable. Got Samson, prostitutes. Judah, prostitutes. Okay. You got a lot of prostitutes going around in the Old Testament, and those people you're calling your heroes, but they couldn't forgive all Jimmy. Jimmy, one prostitute too many for the Assemblies of God, baby, and they kicked him out of there. And his son had to follow suit, formed his own little cult religion, and has pounded his Bible, and now he declares that the black church should be ashamed of themselves for supporting Kamala Harris. Well, how come nobody has said that the white church should be ashamed of themselves for supporting Donald Trump? How come nobody's ever said that? How come nobody's gotten out there and said the white church should be ashamed of themselves for supporting this racist, this convicted felon, this twice impeached, orange, fake hair wearing, embezzler, non-tax paying? You know why? Because the black church is afraid to death to say anything like that. Because it's not your country. You don't want no smoke. I have never seen, coming back from the black church now, I have never seen, I'm talking about the ones in America, the ones in Canada, the ones in the Caribbean, I have never seen a group of people so dogmatic for God and so afraid to be controversial. One of the things I've been always told, oh, you're so controversial. No, I'm not. I'm just saying what you believe. Don't you believe what I'm saying? I believe it, but I dare not say it. I won't say it on social media. What's the point of believing it? Hey. But we have adopted, coming back to us, a syncretistic ideology when it comes to politics and religion. We have to call out Kamala for her position on abortion. We have to. We have to say, that is absolutely wrong. Sit down and learn. But Kamala is following the dogma of her tribalistic ideology, the Democratic Party. Liberalism. She's towing the company line. And this is why I say that you are stuck between conscience and decency. In good conscience, you cannot establish a nation that will murder children at the whims of pregnant women. I'm sorry. Cannot do it. I was listening to a program today, and I want you to look it up. It's called The Book of Numbers. It's on YouTube, all black characters. And it reads out the Book of Numbers. Whoa, fellow. It reads out the Book of Numbers, all black characters. And there's a point in Numbers that says this: if a woman makes a promise to God and her husband hears it, and her husband tells her you can't do that, then God will not hold her accountable to the promise and forgive her, because her husband says that she cannot make that promise. The words of her husband must stand. I found that a very powerful piece of scripture. We have adopted something completely opposite. Y'all ain't gonna like this. We have adopted a culture where we have allowed women to supersede the morality of the land. A woman cannot say, it is my body, it is my right, and supersede the morality of the land. If the morality of the land says murder is a sin, is a crime, her womanhood has absolved her of the murdering of her baby. You don't like that. I know you. I told you not going to like it. Womanhood cannot absolve you of the quenching of life that you did not create. You are the birthing agent. You are not the creator. Neither is the man. But you are the birthing agent, and we have now begun to build ideology around the birthing agent saying, I am the moral authority of the community. We're in slippery slopes. That's a whole different tribe. That's the tribe of women. And that's why I say this is neo-tribalism. Racism, genderism, is simply tribalism. And some of us have adopted this mentality of the tribe of women ruling in the areas where we have now defrocked ourselves of morality and have said that we will now endorse the ideology of womanhood. Not to be mistaken with the fact that Kamala is probably the most eligible person, period, in America to be the president. My issue isn't the rulership of a sound woman. That's not my issue. There's some brilliant queens sitting on thrones in the history of the world. There's some brilliant female leaders sitting in positions of power in the history of the world. To say otherwise would simply be foolish. But when we have allowed womanhood to supersede morality, we have lost our way, ladies and gentlemen. Listen to this little old country boy talk. You've lost your way. You have lost your way. There was a time, and it was a very dangerous time for these women. And they came and they stood up to the leader of their tribes. They came together and said, our father has died. However, the land that was allotted to him, we need to inherit because he died and there is no sons. There's no sons. He has no sons. It's just us women. And he's dead. So what's going to happen to us? And apparently they were not married. So they came to the leader. He has the stories about Moses. And Moses didn't know what to do. Moses said, wow, I've never had that problem before. Let me ask God. God said, yes, those women are right. If a man dies and he has no sons, give the land to his daughters. They should have the right of land ownership. There was no religion or legal entity prior to the Mosaic law that put women in a position to inherit land from their fathers. Not the Code of Hammurabi, not Egypt, nothing. That was the very first legal civil code written to allow women to inherit land, because it meant that women were not property, because property can't inherit land. women were not simply, I can't be dishonest or disingenuous, because we can find in the Mosaic law where women are considered property in certain circumstances, as well as men. But this is the first time we see a book, a moral code, where a civil code, a civil law, where women had the ability to inherit land and to be landowners. So we are not excluding women from their rightful place, shoulder to shoulder, in the community. We're not doing that. But we cannot adopt or overreact, over-respond to the various holes in certain societies of rights and of rights of women by making this incredible overcorrection on the what ifs. Well, what if she's raped? And what if this? And what if that? What if it's your daughter? And what if all these what ifs? Where we now divorce ourselves of our moral code. And listen, you've heard it before, but I want to be clear. The child inside of that woman has as much rights as the woman. Did you hear what I said? If that woman has rights, if the man has rights, then the child inside of that woman has the same rights. If you have endowed your citizenry with inalienable rights, then that unborn child, his rights begin at conception. Her rights begin at conception. And absolutely no one is trying to defend the rights of an unborn child in those circumstances. But they are quick to pick up their proverbial rock of Gibraltar and say, hey, we stand on this terra firma that a woman has the right to take care and control her own body and not govern it. Well, a woman doesn't have the right to dispose of the life of a child either. So these things, of course, they are the moral fortitude that has caused the wrestling of those two particular parties, which is why I've always said that you need a third option. But this is tribalism. This is all this is. This is tribalism. And you have to be able to pick out the meat and spit out the bones at times when it comes to these particular red herring issues. You have to, especially when you're a man or a woman of conscience and faith. You have to. You have to. Well, let me see what y'all got to say, because probably not. The United States will drink from the cup, so saith the Lord. What's it say here? Here is for... You know Donald's wearing a wig. Come on now. We know Donald's wearing a wig. We know Donald's wearing a wig. Donald don't have any hair on his head. The enormous burden of the American people is to somehow disenfranchise itself from its tribalism. The American presidential election reminds me of WWF wrestling. When you used to watch wrestling and you had your favorite tag team, those guys could do no wrong. Oh, if they took a chair and whacked somebody on the head, you're cheering for them. And if somebody pulled some salt out of their trunks and salted up their eyes, you're saying, no fair! Can't do that. A legal move. And it seems to me that that's what the American election has turned into. Basically, a fake combat of people who have decided that they're just going to root for one particular side because that side looks like them. And they don't care about the rest. I did that. I did that all the time. When we were little, because I grew up in a racially cultured world I would turn on the television, and immediately I see a boxing match. I'm rooting for the black guy. And if I sat down with my little white friends, they were rooting for the white guy. And I hated that they were rooting for the white guy. And I was upset because I felt they were rooting for the white guy because he was white. That's exactly what I was doing. I didn't want the black guy to lose to the white guy, even though this little white guy is my friend. And that's how we were raised, unfortunately. Dipped in this thick broth of tribalism. Even come to the proper moral decision of watching something with colorless eyes. It's very hard for us to do that now. And the funny part is, the oxymoronic part about that is that this is probably the greatest time in history where people are actually watching things with colorless eyes. I honestly feel so. I feel that we have gone so far from xenophobia, and I don't know what to call it, but we have embraced everything. Everything's okay. Trans, what's the other word that they use? It's trans and it's non-binary. I don't know how that came about. How did you go? I don't know. Trans, non-binary, all the other things that we are just accepting. We have asked you, what are your pronouns? Them? Us? We? We have gone so far in the acceptance room, where we have accepted so much, we have effectively almost lost our way. It's so popular now. It's extremely popular. You have women running around with, every girl's got a gay best friend. Every girl's got a gay best friend. A guy who's a gay best friend, their gay guy friend. I don't trust those dudes. You can't slip a gay guy friend in on me. Oh babe, he's just my gay guy friend. Is he a eunuch? Do all his parts work? No, sirree, Bob. Don't slip that guy in on me, because what'll happen is y'all might try to convert that dude one time, and you might realize that, you know, Alphonse liked it. No. Y'all going too far. Going too far. No gay guy friends either. Straight earth, no. Oh, he's just my gay friend. We sleep in the same bed. We've been knowing each other. No. Y'all gone way too far. Way too far. Comes into the same bathroom with you. Lord have mercy. Don't trust that, brother. I don't know who you are out here. Do not trust that. If your girl got one of those gay guy best friends, have a talk with that brother. He's got to go. Because we have allowed this popular culture to mess us up so badly. We don't have common sense anymore. And it's neo-tribalism. It really is neo-tribalism. And everyone, I mean, you have 10-cent prophets running around pointing their finger at America saying, America's going down. If God doesn't do something about America, God has to literally apologize to Sodom and Gomorrah. Because this thing ain't new. It's not a new phenomenon here. All the crazy stuff that's happening, this stuff ain't new. God has to listen. Do you think only? Let's go with this. They have RICO charged Sean Combs. Do we think that Sean Combs is the apex predator in America right now? Do we think that there hasn't been others? We've talked about Hugh Hefner. Oh. But look at, there is hundreds of thousands of Sean Combses. that are sitting around in history that have not been discussed or even identified. Hundreds of thousands of Sean Combses sitting around. Y'all went after R. Kelly. Y'all went after Harvey Weinstein. Y'all went after the other guy that ran off to France. Okay? Epstein. Come on. Men of power have been doing things like that forever. Forever. Let me bring some of them up.
Follow the road for 42 kilometers.
Turn off voice instructions. Let me bring some of them up.
Voice instructions deactivated.
What about the breeding farms in slavery, where every little white guy, every little white slave owner had a little breeding farm where he was breeding more slaves. He had a couple of little slave children of his own. You telling me that's different to what Sean Combs is doing? You telling me those guys have a heads up on Sean? God has to apologize to Sodom and Gomorrah if he lets America live. It's crazy what's happening in this particular era. It is crazy. You cannot imagine a Donald Trump type character. Go back to the 80s, go back to the 90s, and let's create a Donald Trump type character running for the presidency of the United States of America and having a chance. You cannot imagine white men standing up, ridiculing the black church in the 70s, the 80s, saying things like Puerto Rico is an island of garbage. I'm, to use a white phrase, I'm flabbergasted that we are sitting in these times when people have come so far to accept anything, that these xenophobes have risen up out of the graves and have decided to say, we're white, we're right, and we don't have to be afraid of it anymore. We can say what we want, and Donald is leading the charge for them. He has woken up everything ugly in America, but I thank him. I would like to thank him. Donald, thank you, because you know what? We truly believe that folks like that didn't exist no more. We believed it. They have suppressed their true belief system. They have bitten their tongues because they were afraid. But you have made them to have bravery that we've never seen. And my only true disappointment is it will not mobilize black African American for true action and true moral stability. It won't push us into a place where we say, we've got to be better. Look what's happening here. We've got to be better. We've got to think better. We've got to be smarter. We've got to know that this old plantation, we've got to do something different here. You can't stay in that old plantation. I'm telling you, black people in America, that plantation, so that's what it is for you. You didn't arrive at the Boston Tea Party, okay? That plantation is a place that you have to do a combination of what Marcus Garvey told you and what Malcolm told you, is that you've got to separate from that plantation. Because, let me use the words properly that Donnie used incorrectly. You have to come out from amongst her, my people, and be not a partaker of her sins or her plagues. And that is America. That is the America that you currently. and say, this here, where I'm standing here, this is something else. God, this ain't Sodom, this ain't Gomorrah, this is something else. I'm slicing myself, I'm separating myself. I don't want their currency, I don't want their benefits. I'm evoking the 1948 addendum and saying that I have declared that this is sovereign land and I am no longer a resident of the United States of America. And not one, not two, not three, not 5,000, not 10,000, but millions of people need to do that. Millions of people need to say, I want to succeed from the Union. I do not want to be part of this evil nation. I do not want the plagues of heaven that will fall on this nation. God, separate me from these people. Because, wow. Wow, wow, wow. If King Leopold is the most evilest man that we can remember in recent history, yes, he's the most evilest man that we can remember. He's more evil than Hitler. He is. He's the most evilest man that we can remember. If King Leopold is the most, after slavery had been abolished. Remember that. Leopold did everything he did after slavery was abolished. It was abolished in Europe. It was abolished in America. He did everything after it was abolished. 20 years after is when he did all that stuff in the Congo. That's why he's the evilest man in recent memory. But the sins of America pale in comparison to what Leopold has done. They pale in comparison. They have Leopold's got nothing on what the founding fathers were. Wicked to their core. Did you know that? Sam Firestone. You know that guy? You know him. Sam Firestone made a deal with King Leopold II for rubber and took the carnage to an epic level. Sam Firestone. That's one corporation. One corporation in America alone, need for rubber, participated in an epic level of the massive genocide in Congo. One corporation, Firestone, by itself. Put all those other corporations in there. Throw everybody else in there. What has been done in Africa to the African? What has been done to indigenous people? What has been done in the Caribbean, in America? Oh my God, nothing. What has been done to the Chinese, to the Japanese, in America? Nothing compares to what that nation has done. Nothing compares. Nothing. No nation in the history of the world has more blood on its hands than America. No nation. God can never stay quiet forever. It is not a nation under God. It's never been a nation under God. It's never been. It's never been a nation under God. Never, never, never has it been a nation under God. Never, ever. And if it's God, it's not the God of the Bible. It's somebody else. Oh my goodness. Never has it been a nation under God. So it has been a tribalistic nation of very intelligent, warlike people who have connected themselves with other warlike people and have put a stronghold on a particular region of the world. They are masters of destruction. They look at everything in a way of how to build better weapons, how to make more destruction. They have investigated the atom in order to destroy more. It's just about destruction. It's all about destruction. It's the greatest army and machine of warfare ever constructed. Nothing is like it. Nothing. If Russia felt it could take on America, it would have. If China thought they could take on America, they would have. The American war machine is the greatest thing. It's the greatest war machine that has ever been built in the history of the world. Never has a war machine been built like that. It is the most dangerous, bloody nation in the history of the world. And no one dare try. If little Israel, America's little buddy, the Robin of America's Batman, the Superboy of Superman, is kicking behind all over the Middle East. Iran, oh, don't talk to me. Boom, missile in your behind. Lebanon, oh yeah, you acting up? Boom, missile in your behind. You Palestinians, oh, we're gonna rip y'all out of here. They are a one-man butt-kicking band in the Middle East. Little Israel, with the help, of course, of their big brother. Little Israel has iron domes and all kind of stuff. You think America's Israel got iron domes? What America got? Never been invaded. No, God has to do something. And the tribalism of America is what causes America to be America. America has quickly said, we will assimilate. We are a melting pot. You come to us and you do not stay what you were. You melt into us. This is the Assyrian army, the Assyrian nation rather, empire, the Assyrian empire. They got that from them. This is not new. They got it from the Assyrian empire. The Assyrian empire said, come, learn our language, learn our history. You're a new nation. You're new. Babylon tried to do it with Israel, Judah. When Babylon invaded, they said, we're taking the best of you. Learn our languages, learn our customs. Better learn to speak like us. Learn everything about us because we gave you a new name. You're new. They did it to the African. Come over here. Kunta Kinte. No, your name is Toby. You'll be working here. This will be your wife, but we might need her every now and then to breed for this guy. They recultured everything, my friends. So it's not new. None of this stuff is new. Melting pot. Turned it into a melting pot and said, you are no longer what you came from. We've made you a new thing. You're Americans. Gave you a gun, put a flag on your chest, and said, go out there and kill for us. And y'all did. And you're still doing it. You're still doing it. The slave believes he's American. Believes it. The slave believes he's American. Joseph of the Bible. His people stayed in Egypt for 400 years. Sound familiar? But he knew there would be a time when it was time to leave. Never did the Israelite believe he was Egyptian. Never did he believe he was Egyptian. He couldn't believe he was Egyptian. He was treated too badly by the Egyptian. He was enslaved by the Egyptian. He was beaten by the Egyptian. And the Egyptian and him looked the same. But he couldn't believe he was an Egyptian. And the forefather of the Israelites said, when you leave, take my bones with you. I don't want to be buried here. I want to go where y'all are going, even post-mortem. Today, the American Negro feels that he can't leave America because he has too much history there. Oh, his dead is buried there. Oh, he's fought, he's bled. It's a plantation. And if you're going to stay, at least separate. If you're going to stay, at least make a demarcation line and say, I am not an American anything. I am an African hostage that needs to self-identify. I need to speak my new pronoun. I need to speak my new identity. Everybody's got a new identity. Well, why can't we speak our identity? Because you are not an American. That's property. You are property. The second that you say African American, you're saying you're property. That's what you're saying. I am the property of the sovereign confederacy of the British that came here, brought me here, and enslaved me, and I am still their property. No, you can't. That's why so many brothers in the 70s, they said, we got to get rid of these slave names. They did that in Congo too, right? Mobutu said, we got to get rid of these slave names. Because that is the name of our oppressor. That is the name of the language of our oppressor. We've got to learn our indigenous languages. Because we're speaking in the tongue of the colonizer. We don't even have our own language. How can you have your own mind and you're speaking his language? How can you have your own identity and you're speaking his language? How can you have your own self-actualization and you have been given a name according to his language? Come on, man. You are in a tribe and you are marked in the tribe. Imagine walking around as a captive and they put a seal on you, they burn it onto you and say, it says captive. And after you've been there for a while, you feel like you're like everybody else, of course. You're hanging out with the little boys and girls, you're going to the same schools, but every time they see your arm, they say, captive. You know you're a captive, right? Yeah, I know, but I'm just like you. No, you're not. You're a captive. You're a captive. That right here, that's captive. You're a captive. And if you have a child, your child will have a mark, and that mark will say captive. That's right. You're a captive. And if there's one drop of captive blood in anyone, they're captives too. That's what America said. One drop of black blood made you black. Because they wanted to make sure they separated the Americans from the captives. So how can you sit there and still not realize you're a captive? And that's why the only glimmer of hope can be for a captive to say, they're going to let one of us be president? A woman too? Obama was, let's be honest, that boy was half white. He was a half white boy. He was African and white. And some of y'all have lost your beloved mind identifying Kamala as not black when her Jamaican father is a black man. Some of you don't understand actual West Indian history and understand that just like you, plantation, and sometimes master was intermingling with some of his slaves, but he's black. He is an African in captivity. Her mother rather, is an Indian woman. Indian women. Okay? Do you know what it is to be Indian? Do you know the mixture? Do you know how many so-called Negroes are in India? To call this woman not black is a ridiculous thing to say. But we know she thinks like a captive too because she married a colonizer. But the only glimmer of hope you have is to somehow snub your nose at the institution of America and not allow another plantation owner to get his second kick at the can. At the end of the day, Kamala sitting on that seat, ain't nothing gonna be changed. Nothing's gonna be new for the African American, for the African in America. Nothing's gonna change. You have to change it. You have to say, I don't want to be here no more. You have to say, I don't want your confederacy over me anymore. You have to secede from the Union. It's easy for me to say, I'm not doing it. But tribalism. When will your tribe rise up? It's time. It's your season. Somebody has to shout from the mountaintop and say, it is time. Because the white man in America has stood up and said, hey, we are white, we are right, and we don't care who knows. Blacks, you Latinos, we don't care about y'all. Y'all Haitians out here eating dogs. Oh my gosh. When is enough going to be enough? Wow. And with all that being said, still in the hunt for the presidency, Donald J. Trump. Tribalism. Hell of a thing. God bless you. This is Del K. Brereton. This is The Real Spiel. Shiloh Institute, stand up. I'll read all your comments and I'll get out of here. Zenobia, you back? I keep telling them. They don't get it. People keep trying to tell me who I am. Come on, talk to them, Zenobia. Shalom to everybody. God bless everybody. God bless everybody. Ain't no way we created the same image as them. I'm going to say that in closing. And this is not racist. It's just a fact. Levi, there's a tribe called Levi. And God said of Moses, to Moses, Levi does not get an inheritance. Their inheritance, God said, Yahweh said, is me. They don't get inheritance. I am their inheritance. This is a principle. Let me go. The Afro-Semitic Hebrew, known as the Israelites, persons of dark ethnicity, the Afro-Semitic Hebrew, lived in Africa for 400 years. He was amongst Hamitic people and had other Afro-Hamitic enemies, Ammon and Moab. But there came a time that we realized, when we go back to the beginning, that God said, I will choose a people. I will choose a people to be my people. And then, in the passage of time, is that God himself incarnated and came as a man. Well, who did he come as? Maybe it's not relevant, right? It's not a big deal. It doesn't matter what Jesus looked like, right? And why has he got blonde hair and blue eyes in your church? When you know he came as an Afro-Semitic man. He came as a man of complexion, a man of color. He grew up in Africa. Yes, he did. He grew up in conventional Africa. When Joseph hid from Herod and took him to Egypt so that the scripture could be fulfilled. I have called my son out of Egypt. He grew up in his infancy years in Africa. So this Afro-Semitic boy, raised in his elementary years in Africa, operating under a Roman regime, God didn't show up as a Chinaman. He could have showed up as a Chinese man. The dynasties of China were well underway at this time. He could have showed up in India. Could have showed up in South America. Could have showed up in a multitude of places. Could have showed up in Greece. Jesus could have been of Greece or Roman. God came as a black man. Today, some people have the inheritance. Elon Musk, billions. Jobs had it. The boys who ran Microsoft had it. The boys who run Amazon had it. But what do you have? Oh, Afro-Hamitic and Afro-Semitic man. You've got the image. You've got the spark of spirituality. You've got the image of God on you. So, what would you rather have? Your face on the shekels, on the pieces of paper? Or would you want to have the face that looked like the face of God when he came? My people who are called by my name, you have the image. Accept the image. You have the image. You look like God. I'll take it. I'll take it. When you walk into a room, your presence manifests. When they see you as something they see an impression. They see something to be feared sometimes. They see something to be in awe of sometimes. It's okay. And they want to control and contain you. As I close, Lucifer wanted to control and contain the image too. If you bow down and worship me, I'll give you all of this. I'll take the image. They can have the stuff. I'll take the image. Okay? No disrespect. I love my brothers and sisters of all ethnicities, but I know what I was given. I wasn't given a golden spoon. I wasn't given generational wealth. I wasn't given privilege. I was given the image, and I'm thankful for the image, and I'll take the image. And no disrespect to those who have gotten other inheritance, but like the Levite, Yahweh said, his inheritance is me. And of Abraham, I am his great exceeding reward. My tribe is not of this earth. And I'm okay with that. God bless you. I'm out. This is Del K. Brereton, and this is The Real Spiel.